Deputy to then Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman. Thank you very much for being with us, Danny.
My pleasure.
So you just heard some opinions in that report that it seems strange that it would be Lieberman. What's your take? Do you think it was, in fact, Avigdor Lieberman? And what do you think of that denial he put out?
Well, I think the whole thing is bizarre. And I would say that, you know, it could really be a part of Jean Le Carré, you know, series of espionage thrillers. In any case, I think that it should be investigated. I don't think we can allow this to be left by itself. And I think that the Israeli government has their ways and means to get the name from the American government.
From your experience, though, you worked so close. I mean, you were on as inside as you could be, the deputy to Avigdor Lieberman. Does that ring true to you that it was not him?
I have no idea. I think the fact, I mean, there is a real bizarre set of circumstances here. On the one hand, you have this foreign ministry announcement or a press release, which came a day before the elections in the Ukraine. The only ones who could really authorize it was myself and Lieberman. I didn't do it, so it has to be checked.
But Danny, it has been pointed out that other Israeli officials did express concern about anti-Semitic elements in Ukraine. Danny Danon, who was Minister, I think, of Aliyah at the time. Is it possible that such a press release was put out, even by Minister Lieberman, but it wasn't done in coordination with Paul Manafort? It just someone, perhaps some kind of go-between or someone who in contact with both, put that out there, maybe to Manafort to claim credit. Is that possible?
Everything is possible, but I would say that, and Nurit asked me about the denial should not be, I mean, and this was not really the question, whether someone knows Manafort or not. The question is whether this announcement or this press release was at the service of a foreign government, or Putin, to say the least. And in order to prove that, you have to check and to show that there was a real staff work, a real decision-making process that was done in the foreign ministry before you put out such a harsh announcement, which could be deemed as intervening in other countries'
internal
affairs, especially before a day before elections. It would have been, you know, okay to do it a week, a month before election.
But Danny, you were inside the foreign ministry then. I mean, do you recall that happening?
Not at all.
And not at all.
Not at all. And I can tell you that in other cases, you know, we had some anti-Semitic manifestation and anti-Semitic parties in Europe, like in Austria. Before you have any kind of a reprimand, you know, on a political body in another country, you really think twice and three times to make sure you're doing it in the right way. But the
statement did come out.
Danny, were you aware at the time of any foreign interference with or contacts with the foreign ministry, either by Paul Manafort or other lobbyists, or any kind of go-between?
No, not at all. But the fact, I mean, just on the basis of what Manafort testified,
right,
and on the result that we see on the ground, you know, I think it has to be checked.
And the U.S., Robert Mueller says he has a name, but he can't reveal that because he doesn't want to incriminate that evidence.
I don't think that this formality here can stick. I mean, it may be the legislation for about American citizens, but here it is a matter of national security of an ally.
The Prime Minister can request it, for example.
Oh, absolutely. And again, you can get it officially or unofficially, but certainly the name should be released to the Israeli authorities.
So you think that Benjamin Netanyahu now should request from the U.S., from Robert Mueller's probe, to reveal who was that Israeli official?
Absolutely.
Is that in line, what we're hearing in this story, is that in line with Israel's foreign policy goals at the time, supporting a pro-Russian government and not the, I don't know, the aligned with Obama government?
No, not really.
Potential government?
And actually this is not the only, let's say, bizarre thing or out of the ordinary, let's say. The fact that Israel was also the only Western country which did not denounce and condemn Russia for the invasion to the Crimea and to eastern Ukraine is also something that is out of the ordinary. So
Was that an issue of discussion within the foreign ministry, the policy, whether it was too pro or anti-Russia or Putin at the time?
Which one?
When you were in the foreign ministry, was that an issue of debate, the policy towards Russia?
Oh, absolutely.
It was.
Absolutely, yes.
I want to jump back for a moment to this particular case. You say Netanyahu should ask for the name of that Israeli official.
Yes, right.
Let's say it comes out.
There are many ways many levels of to ask. There are the services to services, judicial authorities to yes.
And then what? Say the name comes out.
And then it should be some explanation should be demanded from whoever who did it.
To the public, to the government?
First of all, to the government, and then to the public. Absolutely. We have to have, let's say, the trust and confidence in this government affairs. And right now, let's say, worst case scenario, there may be a mole. Let's say you have a Russian mole in the Israeli government. Wouldn't you want to flush it out? Of course you would. I hope it's not the case. I hope it is not the case and everything is innocent and everything is just circumstantial and just a chain of bizarre, events that just happen to be like that.
Danny, I want to just broaden this out to the Trump administration. I mean, you've gone on record here on this show as supporting some of the moves the Trump administration has taken in the region. There has been concern raised about, though, the contacts with Putin's government, with Russia, between certainly elements in the Trump administration. There was a famous meeting with supposed an intelligence detail, right. Israeli intelligence detail was revealed. Is this another sign that there should be concern in that direction?
Well, there was a real concern about this one individual case of divulging some intelligence. But as to the bigger picture, it's being investigated by the authorities, competent authorities in the United States. And again, it's a domestic issue of the United States and the American people, and I don't think we should have a say in it.
Last question before we let you go. In this particular case, given particularly that you were part of the Israeli government when this happened, this alleged conversation, collusion, whatever you want to call it, between Paul Manafort and an Israeli official.
Some could say even treason, not collusion, but treason. But again, I think it has to be checked. That's what I'm saying. But
has somebody in the Mueller probe reached out to you or any others in the government that you know of?
Not that I know. They didn't reach to me.
All right. Danny Ayalon, an interesting twist in the Manafort case.